All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Finally, the NFL playoffs are here. We've got a lot of interesting teams in the postseason this year, a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of great games coming up, especially with Wildcard weekend happening this weekend. So many interesting matchups. I can't wait to cover them. They're going to be fun. They're going to be fantastic. I just can't wait. So with the games coming up, I feel we got to preview every single matchup of Wildcard weekend and see how we think things are going to go. So we're going to start off with the first matchup here. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. This should be an interesting matchup here. These two teams actually did play against each other this season, in which the Bengals were able to get the victory. In fact, it was a really good victory for the Bengals. They handily defeated the Raiders, so they just looked like the better team in that matchup. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams go against each other this time around in the postseason. Obviously, Cincinnati is looking to finally break that long losing streak of theirs. They have not won a postseason game in about 30 years. They're looking to get their first playoff win in such a long time, and they want to do it at home. Can they get it done this time? We'll see. Meanwhile, you got the Las Vegas Raiders themselves making the playoffs for the first time since 2016, and they themselves are also trying to get a postseason win and move on and get one step closer to competing for a title. So, let's see what's going to happen here. Let's take a look at the matchup. When you look at these two teams offensively, who has the edge? Offensively, when you look at the quarterbacks, I'm giving the edge to Joe Burrow over Derek Carr. Now, both Burrow and Carr have had a really great season. Both of them have produced well. Both of them have had great moments, and they've had some low moments. But overall, in terms of performance throughout the season, I'm going to give the slight edge to Joe Burrow, specifically with how he's played down the stretch. The way he played in Kansas City, the way he's looked the last couple weeks to end the season has been fantastic. It was enough for people to put him in the MVP conversation late. I don't believe he's going to win MVP, but he might get a vote or two because he has played fantastic. The way Joe Burrow has looked has been spectacular, so I'm going to give him the edge. Derek Carr also had a great season, but he had moments where he's had his up and downs, and it's been a little bit less consistent than what we've seen from Burrow. So the edge for quarterback goes to the Bengals. Overall offensive talent, that edge also goes to the Bengals. When you look at the Raiders, their main pieces really comes down to Waller and Jacobs. That is their main offensive pieces. Those are their main guys. They do have other weapons to utilize there, and spreading the ball is exactly what they've been trying to do in the passing game, and it has been effective, which is something they're going to have to bring into this game. But when you just look at pure talent, they don't compare to what the Bengals have offensively. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, freaking Joe Mixon. They have all these weapons to utilize in that offense. They are an explosive unit when they want to be, and when it just comes to pure offensive talent, unfortunately, the Raiders do not stack up there. They don't match up to what the Bengals have. So I'm going to give the offensive edge to Cincinnati. Defensively, I look at both these defensive units. They're about even. They've had a lot of highs and lows. However, when it comes to the secondary, I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati. I just don't trust the Raiders secondary as much as I want to. I have in fact a bunch of questions about that secondary holding up, but they've performed better than I've expected them to, but I still got questions there. Whereas with Cincinnati, they have completely retooled their defense as a whole, and that defense has shown up in a lot of key situations this season and has helped them out. Now granted, I still don't have complete faith in them. I still think they're trying to continue to build up into the defense they truly want to be. But this year, they took a huge step in the right direction. And I feel that both the Raiders and the Bengals defenses are looking good. But I'm going to give the slight edge because of the way the secondary plays for the Bengals as opposed to the Raiders. That's just my opinion. Overall, I think both defenses are really great. And I think they're going to be the keys in this matchup to see who can end up getting the win. So, with me giving basically the entire edge to the Bengals, obviously the Bengals have the advantage entering into this game. They're the more consistent team compared to what we see from the Raiders. The Raiders have had a lot of highs and a lot of really bad lows. They're more fundamentally sound than the Raiders as well. And they're more talented. So you got a team like that that's more talented, more fundamentally sound, and they are at home. Well, what do the Raiders have? Do they really have a chance? Well, yes, I do believe they have a chance. yeah, the Raiders are definitely entering this game as underdogs, most likely because you're going on the road against a Cincinnati team that has looked to be one of the best teams in the AFC as of late. So definitely they are coming in there as underdogs, but it is possible for them to pull off a win. And I think it's going to come down to what they do defensively to get the job done. Keys to the game for Cincinnati: keep that offense trucking. As long as your offense can be explosive, as long as Jamar Chase continues to play at the level he's playing, and these weapons continue to show up, and Joe Mixon continues to play well, and Joe Burrow continues to deliver that ball, as long as Burrow is hitting his guys downfield, I don't see how they lose this game. As long as he's doing that, I don't see how they lose. Defensively, the number one thing you got to get from Cincinnati is to stop the run. Do not let Jacobs go off at all. If Jacobs goes off, this could be a very difficult game. That's 1, and 2, slowing down Waller. If you slow down Waller, you're going to make it a little bit easier for yourself. So that's what you want to see from Cincinnati's defense. We'll see if they can be able to pull it off. As for the Raiders, it's a bit more complicated here. Offensively, they're going up against a tough defense, but offensively what they're going to need to do is, 1, they're going to have to establish the run. So the Raiders know they have to have Jacobs go off in this game. He has to be a huge reason as to why they're able to put points on the board. If Jacobs can go off on the ground, they're going to be in a good position. They're going to be in a good position. Now, Cincinnati, again, they got Joe Mixon. Obviously, they would want to establish the run game. But really, if their weapons are on it, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. For the Raiders, though, they really need to establish that run game. They don't have the talent Cincinnati has, so they need to establish that run game in this upcoming game. As for the passing game, I think you continue to do what you're doing, which is spreading the ball around. You know they're going to be focusing on trying to slow down Waller as much as possible, so start spreading the ball around. That's what they've been doing these last several weeks. They've been spreading the ball around, and it has been effective at times. Hell, against the Chargers, that's exactly what they were doing offensively. They were running the ball and spreading it around. They weren't always getting it to Waller. In fact, Waller wasn't really making noise in that game. So Derek Carr has to be on point in this game. He has to hit his receivers. He's got to spread the ball around. And you just got to make sure you don't turn the ball over. Defensively, you got to force turnovers. If you could take away possessions from the Bengals and give more possessions to Derek Carr in this offense, you've got a great chance to win. So defensively, you got to force turnovers, and you've got to find a way to slow down these weapons. Also keep in mind, like I said earlier, Joe Mixon and that run game can be dangerous. So if they also get to establish that, it will be a problem. However, that team is so talented enough that they don't necessarily need to establish the run with Mixon to still be explosive. So your main focus needs to be on those weapons. Slowing down Jamar Chase, slowing down T. Higgins, slowing down that receiving core as a whole. You know, don't forget about Tyler Boyd as well, because he can really go off if you just leave him and just don't put any emphasis on him. So this secondary of the Raiders are going to have to show up and slow down those weapons. If they cannot slow down Jamar Chase, they do not have a chance to win this game. So with that being said, with the matchups being talked about, the keys to the game, who has the edge, at the end of the day, who's going to win? No question. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals to get their first playoff win in over 30 years, and they will move on to the divisional round. They've got far too much talent, far too much explosiveness on offense to not be able to get this done. They've already played this team, and they were able to handily beat them. That was a decisive victory right there. So I believe they can get this done once again. For the Raiders, they're going to keep it close. They're going to be competitive. And especially with the way they played against the Chargers last week, I think they're going to be ready to rematch this team once again. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I think it's going to be close. But at the end of the day, I believe Burrow will come up clutch. He will hit his man Jamar Chase, and they will be able to connect to put this game away. So I got the Bengals winning this game, and I have them moving on to the divisional round. With that being said, let's see what happens with this matchup. That is all I've got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.